the good old days.
Mm.
And less simpler. Hello and welcome to Datocracy and welcome to the Humankind DAO, which has been gestating in various forms, but is now live on IPFS, right?
Correct.
Now, take it away, Ernest. Maybe I'll give you 30 minutes to give us your spiel and then we can engage from there.
Uh, okay. Uh, I I sent you guys um version of the website, the Humankind DAO with an overview. And the overview is it's okay. It's your we've talked about these things and I present.
Do you want to share it? Do you want me to, you want to share something from your browser? Do you want me to share the
Let
download?
me, yeah, I have, yes, let me present that. I always have difficulties trying to getting my screen. Okay, share desktop, Google. It all shows unknown. What is this? Doc, hello, Zoom. Oh, I need to give Zoom permission to do stuff. All right.
Yeah.
May not be. Zoom may not be able to record contents of your screen until it's quit. Huh. Okay.
Do you log out and back in?
I can do it later, which means that the my screen will not be recorded apparently, or I can
Yeah,
quit.
why don't you go ahead and log out and back in? It shouldn't take long, and that way we'll get the personal tour and I'll catch up with Tom while you're offline briefly. How's your summer winding up, Tom? Is summer close to the end, or is it still going for a while up there in the frozen north? You're muted.
We reckon we have until the end of September, and then we'll wind up our stays at the cabin and our swimming. But we had great summer, and we have great weather this coming weekend today. So just beautiful. 20 degrees centigrade. Have fun converting it in the water, but that's warm.
That's in the water. Wow, that is.
Yeah, it's about the same temperature, 20 to 25 in the air, which is very nice. Not too hot like much of
Yeah.
Europe, which is burning fires literally, and then
Oh.
not too cold. So we're very happy with uh, global warming.
Swedes will rule the world again.
Mm.
Anyway, on extra good news, Ernest has both his web browser and his file sharing on, or screen sharing on. So sweet.
Mm.
Okay. Yeah. So you see my Humankind page here?
Hmm. Yep.
Okay. So this is what I was working on the past week. Mainly the overview.
Hmm.
Um, and I want to breeze through here because I have two versions of this.
Okay.
But let me summarize this one. So I start with what is humankind, and is this an environment where people have and which is the way that people should behave, even now. People should have a code, a set of values, principles that they live by, right? People say that they do, but the evidence is sorely lacking. People say, yeah, we uphold these principles, blah blah blah, but no, they don't, and that's just the way things are.
Hmm.
Um, so in humankind, what we are trying to do is to have an environment where you can actually live by your code, and the people you connect with. they also live by a code. Um, this is similar to your corporate Facebooks and Twitters, but this is owned and operated by the users. There's no corporate hardware that you have to use to put on your posts. You put your content on your phone, and you distribute it to your to the network, to the Humankind network. So we have components to that. We have the population, which are the people. We have software that enables all these to work together. And we have, at least in this presentation, I had little pictures here that describe um, the what um, people have content that they publish, and people see it in the network. You have personal content that you publish, and again, this is all a whole lot of details that it's kind of boring, actually. This is important though. We talk about code and shared code. So let's say you have a person who you're connected with. She has her code, you have your code, you have certain beliefs, but there are some beliefs that is what gets you together, right? So you choose to focus on the things that you both believe in, the things that bring you together, and you de-emphasize the things that are the differences, right?
Hmm.
So you do that in life sometimes. So in our current corporate system, it's the opposite. The things that divide people are the things that people are exposed to all the time. It is, and that's because these companies make money by renting your eyes, your attention to advertisers. So to put content in front of your eyes, they need things to go viral. And the things that go viral are things that separate us, things that are hateful, things that hurt other people. So in Humankind, we want to invert that. Actually, now we want to revolutionize that to take a different step, a different tack. Um, so we talk about, um, let's say you don't know some people. You know you have values that you share with some people, but you don't know to what extent. You might have code that is very strict. Uh, as an example, let's say you're into an open marriage, and other people are not into that. So you're looking for friends, and you say, "Oh, my code is very strict, and I see zero potential friends. Oh, maybe I should and you change it up a little bit. And when you do, you see more potential people that you can connect with, as opposed to uh, what people call the algorithm today, which I don't know why people give that thing so much deference. It's just a way to make profit. It's nothing to elevate. It's actually the opposite. It's a thing that uh, doesn't look to benefit humanity. It looks to hurt humanity and just to benefit a few people. So when people say, click or like, for the algorithm, that people talk about triggering words. I guess I have that because that's triggering. Um, but anyway, this is one uh, path that I was thinking about taking this. But as I was writing the presentation, something something else came up. So let me switch back to Keynote. Let me see if I can do that smoothly. Uh, Okay, what is keynote here? Okay. Can you see this keynote? Can you see a
No, I think you're
document?
sharing your browser, not your screen.
Okay. Right. How about now?
Okay.
The
What do you see?
lucid
Humankind
authority.
Datocracy. Yeah.
Okay, good, good. Okay, so this is the presentation I was working on. I'm
Nice.
gonna, I'm gonna walk through it because I need to see the presentation notes, right? Gonna do, yes, okay. So I'm gonna basically just read it, but I'll put some emotion or something to make it interesting. So, Humankind Overview. Um, Humankind helps you envision the humanity you want to be part of and helps you to form a focused and motivated team to make it a reality. We've talked about things to make this kind of vision possible, and I think things have come together in a way that it's real, or it can be real. Um, so, what is Humankind about? Humankind is about three major things: you, your code, and our code. That's kind of weird. You is the center of your life. Uh, you may have people you care about and people that are important to you, but when it comes down to it, you are the center of your life. You can't control what people do. You can control what you do and how you feel about things. So we have to focus on you. Then your code. And again, this is your rules, your ideals, the things that make you act the way that you act, the things that motivate you. That's your code. Um, what is our code? Those are the things that when you connect with people, the things that together motivate you and make you as a group act together. That's what we were talking about earlier. When you decide to not be alone, but to connect with someone, you have a shared code. You can't be independent and be together. That doesn't make sense. So your partner, your friends, your organization, under when you get together, you are essentially saying we are one and we have a code and we act according to this code. If you have people that act independently, that's when you have problems and that's when things don't go the way they should. You know, if you have a bunch of people that get on a boat and they want to row to a regular place, well, everybody should row in the same direction, maybe even in the same rhythm. Otherwise, you won't get to where you want to go. So that's the three levels, the three things that humankind focuses on: you, your code, and the code that forms when people get together. How does this work? Uh, Humankind works by helping you use the tools to express yourself, to learn about others, and to make meaningful connections. And to do that, it's important that the people connect to one another through authenticity, responsibility, and accountability. There is no point in having a code if people don't adhere to it. So you have to adhere to a code. If you get together with someone, you get married, you can't all of a sudden they say, hey, I'm going out with this person that I met. Well, if unless you had it in your contract that you're going to have an open marriage or whatever, that would not be good for that relationship. You have to, when you set a contract, when you start a set of rules, you have to abide by them. Otherwise, it's chaos. So Humankind helps people to discover their code, discover what are my ideals, what are the rules that I would want to follow and that I would want to live under. And, and it helps people to get together, find that out, work it out, and expand if it needs to expand. If you have a group that is happy, maybe they want to spread the happiness, or maybe not. Depends on what, as a group, you decide. There's no one person making decisions; it's the whole group, um, and that's how life should be. Uh, and humankind tries to make sure that humans stay human and humane. Okay, so does anybody have a question, Tom?
Um, yeah,
Oh,
not enough. If
okay,
you have more to say, let's let you go ahead and finish. Nothing urgent so far. This all makes reasonable amount of sense, I think.
okay. What are the tools of humankind? We have three types. We have hardware, software, and something new called Datocracy. Let's see. The hardware is what you have. You have handhelds, we have phones, we have Steam Decks now, we have tablets, we have laptops, we have desktops. And notice that I didn't mention any supercomputers or large data centers because when it comes to you, the computing power that you need to manage your life, it's your phone is enough to handle all that. The corporations are the ones who need all these big data centers to collect all this information so that they can then target you with ads or whatever. But on a personal basis, your phone, some people's even watches are enough to process the information they need to manage connections and things like that. The content that they publish, posts, your phone, your laptop is enough of that. So when it comes to the people-owned network that is humankind, we all, each individual has the hardware already. So there's nothing to buy or you know, many people have multiple phones, multiple computers, so they have more than enough. We have the software. Software, it's the what makes the internet the internet. It's the internet is what 50 years old, so there's a lot of software that has been written that make it work. That software is old, it is reliable, and it's the plumbing that make it work. On top of that, people have implemented things like social networks and news sites, but at the basis is simple and all protocol that allows people to use computers to communicate. On top of this, recently, a company called Protocol Labs and others have written this system called interplanetary file system. In the internet, when it comes to information, you have to know where it is. You have to know the address of the computer, where it is located, and if that computer is down or somebody decided, no, we don't want you to access this information, it is easy for that information to become inaccessible. Some countries do that to keep their citizenry ignorant of what is happening in the rest of the world. But with IPFS, information doesn't matter where it is. The essence that is the content is what makes it findable. So content or information will be distributed among any number of computers so that it is redundant. And when people ask for that piece of information, any peer let's call it, any computer that has it would give it up. And the beauty is that that computer doesn't have to know anything about the information or the person or the entity requesting it. It just says, "Oh, I have it. Here it is," and that makes it so that nobody can stop it. There's no one corporation or entity controlling it. It's like trying to control these whack-a-mole things that you wanna. Uh, well, people know what I don't know how to explain it, but it's like when you push something down, something else comes up on another place. It's like you
Yep.
can't stop it. So,
The internet
yeah.
treats
You have a
censorship as
question?
a bug and routes around it, I think is the metaphor.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, okay. So we have this system where information doesn't, nobody owns it, and yet everybody has access to it. That's a new concept. And on top of that, we're building what we call the Humankind Content Management System, which essentially is a way to help people manage their information, in their devices, but also together with their other people's devices. So instead of one big computer uh, is being required to get people together, no, all you need is a couple of phones and you're hooked up. So it is I hear this a lot, the democratization of information, but I think this is real because it is not controlled by any corporation. It is absolute digital freedom. And the CEOs keep using these words, democratization, but then they want to control everything. So that just this is the real democratization of the digital and compute among the people, not just oligarchs. Okay. Now, the thing that brings it all together is Datocracy. So we know about democracy and we know how it can be co-opted, how it can be manipulated, and we've seen democracies turn into autocracies. Some of us are seeing it happening right now. So anything that it's with this new way of organizing and finding information that is not controlled by corporations or governments, we need a way of organizing it that involves every single one of us, where leadership doesn't come from the top down, but actually from the bottom up. This is what the Datocracy enables. It's diluted authority. There's no one person with all the authority. It's actually every individual has the authority. We have cooperative and inclusive and supportive decision making. That's when one person saying, "Hey, this is the way it's going to be." No, everybody contributes to the decision, whatever it is. Everybody participates. Innovation comes from the bottom, not from the top. The workers, the users, the unreached, the people who touch and make the things work or use the services. Those are the people uh, that make the innovation work. A great example are the Ukrainian people against, or the Ukrainian military against the Russian military. The largest military in the world is being kept at bay by a country without a navy. They destroyed half of the Russian navy with very few or not as many military equipment as Russian has, but they have consistently destroyed Russian equipment to the point that they have destroyed bombers and planes on eastern Russia from Ukraine. They did that using Russian infrastructure. So uh, humankind is is very similar. It's like no corporations. You will not control our information. You will not tell us where to put our data, and you will not show us ads just to make you money. This is people taking control of their digital lives, their digital content, and doing with it whatever they want, whatever they can come up with. Um, so this is the vision of humankind, aided by a new way of making decisions and making things work. Um,
One more slide.
One more slide. So again, what is humankind? Humankind is what happens when people start to use the technology at their fingertips to help their own lives, not to create profit for entities and people who could not care less about them. Humankind democratizes innovation and empowers empathy to benefit humanity as a whole. People talk bad about empathy, but empathy is wonderful when the goal is to help humanity as a whole, not just a couple of people. And that's it.
Okay, thank you. Let's do this in phases. Let me, and Tom, I invite you to join along as well. Is for the first phase, let's just reflect on what we heard to see if we got the point you were making. All right.
Yeah.
So what I think the one point is that you want humanity as a whole to flourish.
Yes.
And there's a couple of things that I hear that you really want to tackle directly, which are really interesting, hard problems. One is that the infrastructure we use to communicate and manage our digital lives is increasingly controlled by a small number of corporations. And so one principle, one pillar of this is, power to the people. Let's move to decentralized protocols and distributed systems so that we are able to communicate and store our information without worrying about it being yanked away or whatever by centralized oligarchs.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's one pillar. The second pillar I heard, and I don't know if this ties into the empathy question, is that, and I think really both of these come down to, in a sense, trust. Like, what should we trust? We should not trust people who are, we should not trust people or organizations who have different values or duplicitous values. And so, one is we need to control our own stuff. Secondly, is this idea of a code that people should articulate their code in words. And if I understand it correctly, the hope is that by articulating these codes and creating a social context of being held accountable to those codes, it'll be easier to find people that you should trust and understand how and where you should trust them.
Yes.
So those are the two big takeaways I had. Before we go on, Tom, I'm curious whether you would phrase that differently or if you noticed anything else.
Yeah, sounds good. And Ernest, you've upped your game a lot. If you were a politician, I'd almost want to believe in you and make you the great leader.
If you still believe in great leaders, of course, which you don't. But
if we still, yeah. No, but you know, okay. My worry is always, we agree on the ideals, and so would a lot of people. But we know historically how hard it is to not get corrupted. That even people who start off saying very nice things end up being corrupted. For all we know, if somebody paid you a few $1 billion, Ernest, you might turn into a dictator. What do I know? So my take in a word or two is, if you like, the practicality of making any movement forward with on a more than just we three agree. Okay,
Mm.
practicality. How are we going to sell it to a larger population and change even a few lives?
I'm even more skeptical, not necessarily pessimistic, but skeptical. Like, could the three of us use either this technology or this social infrastructure to characterize and improve our communication? And um, I think actually one framework I've used that I find helpful is that there's three stages of technology adoption, right? The urgent question is the user experience. Can people use it? Will they use it? Right? And that's really about designer empathy for the people. Is there enough of a pull that they're willing to do it, and enough of a functionality so that they can do it? The second thing is scale, which is the question of uh, what is the infrastructure here? Like, okay, the three of us can do it. If we add another person, does it get easier or does it get harder? Right? Do we have a bunch of assumptions about this that work okay for us but fail horribly, for other people who are less technical or uh, female or non-English speakers or whatever? And so there's a bunch of technology questions around that. But the third question, I think, is one you got to, which is the integrity of the system, right? Is the system designed in such a way that even if the underlying protocols work, that maybe the social architecture requires everyone to trust Ernest, and then somebody ticks off Ernest and then the whole thing falls apart, right? What is the resource model is the term I use. Who controls which social and technical resources? And one of the challenges that all distributed systems face is, what is the minimum centralized thing so you can find it, right? In a purely distributed system, you have no coordination. You have to like do everything. And so if you know the person, like PGP is a great example. Beautiful system, you have to know somebody. And you have to know somebody who knows something. And if you are well connected socially, it works well. And if not, it's a failure mode. And the reason this matters is this is there's two so I'm less worried about the problem of we build it and it's awesome and it gets corrupted. I'm more worried about the problem is, will anyone use it? But at the same time, you have to start thinking about questions of scale, questions of integrity now, because otherwise you build it in a way that's going to end up sabotaging you later. So those are the wonders I have. And by the way, Chris, do you feel like that we got the main points and that these are certainly things that you've already considered as ways that we need to engage and iterate to address?
Um, let's say yes. Yes, like in just in my little working on the website, let's call it that. Like I was like putting in my code, my values, and also I was referring to media that I see and videos that kind of support my point, and I kind of like Tumblr, kind of like Twitter, but in my own little box, right?
Hmm.
So the idea is like you put all that in your little pot, and then you share that with people.
Hmm.
Uh, uh, and I'm doing it as a repository, a cool repository, uh, uh, which is like the way people write software. There's you can put it on your computer, you can put your source, you write some programs that translate it into things that like a website, like an HTML or PDF. Um, so I was thinking about, okay, I was Ernest, you introduced me to ASCII-Doc, and I was working with ASCII-Doc.
Mm,
Wow, if we develop something that can spit out ASCII-Doc, then we can have it spit out HTML and PDF, and so um, but we need another like a language that people can understand easily, And when I say people, I'm referring to specifically of English writing people. For people with other languages, the process might be similar, but the implementation is totally different. So they will have to, this is not something that we can say, oh, let's just translate it and look at. No, each region or culture or whatever, even though I kind of like want to move away from culture, but in this case, it's inevitable. They have the language, they have the way to encode things. Even language, some languages, like in English, there's is not much when it comes to gender. Um, Things are not much genderized. I don't know if that's the word. But
gendered, yeah.
uh, other languages, they have two,
Even
three, four, five, and so it's different, and it's kind of hard to imagine. Like I think in Poland they have a bunch of those things. So each set of people have to come up with their own. So this is not something that is to be internationalized. Um, so yeah, the questions are and the issues are many. That's why I'm like, we need to, if the thing is to have people uh, focus on a code and be the thing, then what is the extra thing that we can use like kind of useful? Okay, well, how about like posts and things like that. Uh, People attach their feelings to the information out there, so if we have a way to use that to bring people together and to help people express themselves like we have now, but unfortunately we have it bastardized with things like ads and things like being triggered. Like I just mentioned trigger. Like it's to the point like in YouTube and other places you can't say the word rape or sexual assault because somebody might be triggered. And I support people that are victimized, but I mean people go to the movies and they hear all kinds of worse things.
right.
So
To be fair, we do have rating systems so that people can easily self-select out in movies.
yes, yeah, but people are act like such babies. Like, oh, be an adult. If you hear a language, don't start crying because you hear that word. Come on. I mean,
Oh, come on, Ernest. I know there are words that if I said now, you would probably freak out. So I don't. That feels a bit
well,
unfair for you to say that your words are okay to trigger, but
no,
they shouldn't be triggered at
I'm
the
not
words you're okay
saying
with.
no. I'm saying that I went in Tumblr and I joined this group, an LGBTQ group, and I'm interested in those things. But then I saw the community guidelines or whatever, and I said, don't say language that is triggering. And like, first of all, how would I know what is triggering? If the only way to know that is to actually say it and trigger. And somebody saying to you, "Oh, you triggered me," and that type of discussion is kind of. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying it's really awkward and off-putting. Like, we have to walk on eggshells these days because, people want, might be hurt, even though you didn't mean that. You just didn't,
Right. So it's less about the existence of trigger words. It's more about having a social um, generosity to like, hey, we're all good intentioned here. We will try to be respectful. We may occasionally use language that other people find triggering. When it happens, we'll have a just honest, gentle conversation to help us understand where the boundaries are so that people feel safe on both sides.
yeah, but did we have this 20 years ago?
No, so Ernest, as I recall, you're the one who says you're wondering why people have a negative reaction to DEI.
Uh-huh.
Now you know why.
Why?
Because the sense that was 20 years ago, we didn't have this problem, But then the word woke is, maybe a trigger word for some of you, is associated with this idea that every is that um, everyone has a right to feel safe. I was talking about this friend of mine who's a millennium. Is the like, I have legitimate trauma, therefore I need you to change so you don't trigger me. That was
See,
kind of that. Yeah.
that's
And
kind
that,
of wrong.
yes, but that is also what people associate with the idea of woke, which is one of the reasons why people are triggered by woke, is that that was part of that same cultural movement.
Well,
So
uh,
and that's not maybe how you use the word, but that's why these words are triggering, right? So anyway, let me. We're going last
but
part. Here's what I would like to propose. Okay, sorry.
just one point, like one important point
Okay,
that I, you know, as I was uh, trying to put in these codes, and I'm like, okay, let's talk about humanity, right? And this just occurred to me, like, well, a couple days ago. So, what is humanity? Humanity is the ultimate diverse, equitable, and integrated thing. Everybody's in humanity. Everybody. It includes everybody, every single person. You can't say,
well,
"Oh, humanity doesn't."
sorry. My rationalist friends would include all living creatures and stuff like
No,
that
I
in my
said human.
Janes.
Okay, let's say
So
humankind. Humankind.
okay, well,
Yeah,
so right. So it's not everything, but humanity is the level that you want to deal with.
yeah. When it comes to humans, let's say in the
So,
humans. So
so right.
every
So
single
by definition, humanity is the entirety of humans, and that's the area you want to focus on.
Yeah, and if you want to attack this word, it's diverse. Everybody's in the it's in on Earth, so it's equitable and what is inclusive. So it includes everyone. So when I was thinking of those three words, and I'm like, well, that's humanity by definition. You can't take them away. As soon as you start doing that, then you have to kill people, or you have to oppress
Oh well,
someone.
there's still some awkward gray areas, but we can deal with that later.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, that's it. I just wanted to mention that.
Okay, good. All right, cool. So here's what I think. So I think let me just put some language around it. There's two real important parts of humankind. One is the technical architecture, which is, I guess, really about democratizing innovation,
Mm.
and the other is the social architecture, with the goal of encouraging empathy. Is that a fair summary?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be. Yeah, yeah. Like,
That was what you had in your pleasant tagline. I don't know if
yeah,
there's a
yeah.
better word for
Understanding
that,
each
but
other, learning about each other, understanding each other without
mutual understanding.
violence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. In that sense. Okay, good. So I think it would be good to. So here's what I would propose is that it would be great if we, as Datocracy, the three of us, could agree on some sort of code that we would
Mm.
say this is the Datocracy code. And it's a small set of relatively things. Now, there could be a very in-depth language set of definitions underneath that, and there probably will be before Tom would agree to anything, which is fine. But I would at least like to see if we can start building that out for our next call, and use the technical architecture of Humankind to support that. Because that to me would be a good test case of, can even the three of us actually do this thing? Does that feel like a good test case for Humankind, Ernest?
Yeah. So I was even it was. Uh, I sent you an email that I had to separate the population from the architecture, right? So I have to. Well, I will have two repositories. One is humane pop population, and the other one is it's remains humankind with the software and all that. But humane pop is essentially, you know, the database or with people and the content. And I was thinking, well, right now it's just me, but eventually other people will have to like make pull requests or whatever. Or I would be like, hey, send me your code and I encode it and
Right.
I'll,
So good. We're hitting the first conflict of centralization.
well, it's
Is
not
how do we manage?
centralized. Oh
Well,
yeah,
is it
with me.
right?
Yes.
Exactly. And so, and I'm not saying it's a problem, but I think we just need to acknowledge that that's the reality. And
Mhm.
the way that I understand this is the idea of a namespace. Is that everyone can write anything that they want, but I want to say that this is like, I want to say like, okay, what is what is and this is where versioning and namespaces collide.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if we can resolve that in the next 4 minutes. But that's, I think, the thing that we need to have at least an acknowledgement of the current plan, a vision. Like, so one way we could do that is that we have a policy that we set up 3 namespaces. Each one has their own personal namespace. And in fact, that would be a great piece of homework, is to see if we could each set up a namespace and write what we think in words that make sense to us. And if you want to do a detailed language breakdown, Tom, that would be awesome. And then, so one, to write the document, two, to save that under our, and I think I'm familiar with IPNS.
Yeah, the naming system.
Right. Yeah. I don't understand that, but I understand that's the way you kind of can have this is a document with this name, and there may be different versions underneath that. And so that we would create a document and create a name for it, which would be useful to stress test the system, but at least having a document of a Datocracy code. And then maybe we have a collaborative statement is like, okay, anyone can edit their own code whenever they want, and we can take feedback from the others to clarify and refine things so that people hear it. But then when we have this live synchronous call, we can make a decision to save it. Now, is IPNS, I guess that it's actually tied to an SSH key, right?
Yeah.
An RSA.
When it comes to, we don't have to do the IPFS thing right now. Right now, we can just come up with how we're going to interact. Like you said, collecting we don't have to publish on IPFS.
Right, but I think it would be okay. Right, we don't have to. It would be a major achievement if we could all agree on a document anyway. But I'm at least intrigued by the work you're doing on IPFS, and I think it would be fun to see that, especially because it helps us stress test the technical architecture and all these values you talk about. It's like, is it actually possible to use this in a way that doesn't just reproduce all the centralization that we despise?
Oh yeah,
right?
and I was even researching, okay, what if protocol logs, are they lasting? There are VC based companies, so to what extent do billionaires influence that? They say it's open source, and they have their license and all that, but can you trust that? So many open source companies have changed, OpenAI,
Yes.
for example. So, we have to, right now I'm like just trusting, okay, yeah, they seem good. But, the option is that, okay, if they mess up, it's still open source, so we can still use the protocol. We have to implement things, but,
Yeah.
worse comes worse. And that's the things that we have to like investigate and write and prepare for. Like, if we want to make sure that we last, we can trust protocol ops, but we can prepare for a.
Well, yeah. The question is, can we trust the protocol even if we don't trust the protocol owner? Right. Yeah. So anyway, Tom, any thoughts on what you'd be willing to do as homework for the next time?
Yeah, thoughts bubbling. But I'm willing to do any assigned homework. Number one, I can think out my own position. I'll tell you where my thoughts are going very roughly. In Graphmetrics, you have your private pod. And the whole idea is that's your private to change and to allow other people use, and nobody can misuse it. And so I'm thinking that people's information ought to be in something like that pod that you have full control over. And that pod could then reach out to a call it a central pod, which
or shared
maps
pod, maybe.
Means the same thing for the moment. But it would, in a sense, have access to see what in your pod corresponds to its interests and its relevancy. And map it and use it in ways we permit. So yeah, very rough, but something like that.
Yeah,
And then I'm, willing to say what my core values are. You used another term there, but I
Yeah.
like the word values.
mm,
Okay. Anyway, I need to get ready for my 12 o'clock. So maybe we can call it here. And so we're all going to take an effort to write our values, store them somewhere, and bring them into and if people, I guess, are inspired, they can share it on the email beforehand so we get a sneak peek. And Tom, are you just planning to write like all your values or those specifically related to Datocracy? Have you?
Haven't thought through it.
Okay, we'll find out. I guess whichever one, at least have some values
What
related
we're
to
looking for is
Datocracies.
the values that overlap. In other words,
That's true.
values that
Yeah.
would never overlap are irrelevant in any case.
Yeah.
So
So write down values you want and try to prioritize the ones that you think we might be able to share in common and characterize this group. So
and we should focus on,
remind us of our homework.
yeah,
okay, I'll send an
please.
email with Fathom. And after I'll have to actually upload and post the video, and I will send you that link as well.
And to make it easier, we should focus on the values that we use as we talk. Not, you're a physicist, so you might have values of, when it comes to those, we don't have to worry about those. Just the
Yeah, what
values
are
that
the
we think.
operational values that help us actually do the thing we're doing together?
Yes, exactly.
Yep, great. All right, great work, Ernest. Fantastic document, concise presentation, innovative technology. This is a great kickoff, and look forward to next month.
All right, same here.
Take care.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.
Bye bye.